Hiya, I'm Vic. You know, sometimes being a referee can be challenging, especially during the semifinals. These girls want to win more than ever. Pushing, you can't do that, that's a foul. It's a good thing I'm here to keep the peace. Peace is proving you care more about each other than winning an argument. But in the heat of competition, it's easy to forget how much you care about other people. It's a foul, holding, you. That means you can let go now. If I wasn't out here, I'm not sure what they would do to each other. This would go from a basketball tournament to a wrestling match. And no. You can't just run with the ball. That's insane. And also traveling. Don't. Technical foul. I'm not sure that I can take much more of this. I'm about ready to walk off the court. I mean, this isn't my fight. But then, today's story is about a woman named Abigail who tried to keep the peace even when it wasn't her fight. So, I guess, hey! Elbow! No, kicking, tackling. Ladies, you're doing the wrong sport.
The Bible isn't just a book of random stories. It's 66 different books that come together to tell one story. An incredible one about God's love for us. And now for an amazing story inspired by the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 25. Verses 1 to 35.
Before David became king of Israel, he and his men often lived in the wilderness to hide from King Saul. One season, they camped near the sheep herds of a wealthy man named Nabal. It was dangerous, lonely country, and Nabal's shepherds were often attacked by ruffians and thieves. But David and his men stood guard to protect the sheep and the shepherds.
You fellas are the best. Hey, I was a shepherd myself. I know what it's like. Getting ready to shear these here sheep. Nabal's throwing a big feast afterward. My men could sure use some good food.
David called 10 of his men and sent them to Nabal.
Greet him and say, David says, may things go well with you. We've protected your sheep and servants, so please be kind and share your feast with us.
David's men hurried to Nabal's home and discovered him lounging in a comfy chair and eating grapes as preparations for the feast swirled around him. He studied them with narrowed eyes as they delivered their message.
David? Who is this David? Probably some lazy runaway servant. Why should I give food to him and his scalawags from who knows where?
I don't know. Maybe because we helped you?
No.
David's men returned to camp, and they told David exactly what Nabal had said.
No.
It is on! Grab your swords, men. We're going to teach this Nabal a lesson. David and 400 of his men set off immediately. Meanwhile, back at Nabal's home, festive shearing activities were underway. But one of the servants who had been watching the sheep heard Nabal's words to David and was troubled. He knew better than to try reasoning with Nabal, so he went in search of Nabal's wife, Abigail.
What is it? What's Nabal done now? David sent messengers here to greet Nabal and ask to share in the feast.
And what did Nabal say?
No.
No?
David's men were very good to us. They kept us safe. But Nabal just shouted at him. Horrible trouble is coming unless you can do something.
Bring out all the donkeys and meet me in the storeroom.
Together with her servants, Abigail chose supplies and loaded up the donkeys.
200 loaves of bread and a bushel of grain.
Check.
5 sheep.
Check.
100 raisin cakes and 200 cakes of pressed figs.
Figs and raisins for dessert? Seriously? But, check. Abigail saddled up her own donkey.
Go on ahead with all the food. I'll follow.
As Abigail rode her donkey down into the valley, she could hear many men approaching. David, meanwhile, was becoming more and more angry as he neared Nabal's home.
All this time we spent keeping Nabal's property safe, and what does he say?
No.
Exactly. We're gonna make him pay. What's all this?
David had just enough time to see the donkeys approaching, loaded down with good food, when Abigail came around a curve in the road. She scrambled off the donkey and threw herself down at David's feet.
Please, sir, let me speak. Don't pay any attention to Nabal. He's a fool. I'm sorry I didn't see the messenger you sent, but I brought a gift now. See?
Are those figs? Figs? I told you. No one likes figs.
I'm partial to figs.
Sir, I think the Lord is keeping you from getting even with Nabal yourself. You fight the Lord's battles, so the Lord will keep you safe and make you ruler over Israel. And when that happens, you won't have to feel guilty for harming Nabal.
Abigail dared to look up. Before her, David's men waited. She could also see her own servants and the restless donkeys waiting too.
God will give you success. When that happens, please remember me.
At last, David smiled.
Praise God. He sent you to find me. May God bless you for this.
Abigail released a long breath and finally stood up, dusting off her robe.
Thank you.
You've shown a lot of good sense and kept me from getting even myself.
So, you'll take this gift?
Yes,
Even the figs?
especially the figs. Go home in peace. I have heard you, and I'll do what you've asked.
Abigail and her servants returned home as David and his men headed back to camp.
Fig?
No. Because Abigail had acted quickly to make peace, she and her entire household were saved, and David was kept from acting out in anger.
Abigail stepped into the middle of a fight between David and Nabal. It wasn't her fight, but she saw an opportunity to make peace and she took it. You see, peace isn't something you think about only when you're in an argument. You can help bring peace to others too. You just have to make the decision that you're going to be a part of the solution, not part of the problem. Let's say you see someone fighting in your school. They're pushing and kicking and just being foul. What do? Do you stand and watch? Do you cheer them on, or do you travel on and pretend you didn't see anything? Wouldn't it be better if you tried to make peace? I'm not saying you should jump into the middle of the fight and risk getting hurt yourself, but you could tell them to stop or find a grown-up who could help. That's better than standing by and doing nothing. You could help make peace between friends and family members or people you don't even know just by choosing to be the voice of reason in unreasonable situations. The one thing to remember today is this: prove you care more about others by being a part of the solution. Be the referee. Even when it isn't your fight, you can make a real difference. So, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, even on days when it gets hard, and maybe we'll all finish the game in one piece. And that's all this is. Just a game. Let's keep it civil, okay? Maybe we'll have peace for a little while at least. Maybe not. I'm going back in.